Kia ora, it's Tani here. This is the first tutorial I've done for a city. I usually do them for small businesses and for business people. I've never done one for a city, although I have project managed in my brain and how to do that on my own projects, but never for a city that I'm not working on. So anyway, here we go. You got your pen and your papers. Right, first thing is that you need a think tank. So I'm just doing what I do in a business meeting, but I'm doing it on a larger scale. So first of all, you need a think tank. So basically, you have lots of community meetings. Always run the community meetings with an aim, what you want to what you want out of that. So the best thing that you can get out of community meetings is names and numbers. That's the starters. People that are passionate to help. Two things you want to know: what's happening in your community, what's the problem in your community, and what's good in your community. Two things you want to ask: what's the major problem in your community, and what's good in your community. Only two questions you want to ask them. And then you get all that, you collect all that data together. You can even do it on Facebook. Then you can see where you sit in the community as a city. And that's just apply this to you if you're just doing your own household. But I'm just doing it on a city level. The thing that you need to know when you're doing any think tank is to know exactly where you sit. And I honestly think that you think it's worse than what it actually is. Actually look at what you have. So I've done a little bit of research on Detroit because I wanted to bring hydro engineering there. But anyway, one thing I found about Detroit is, one, you've got heaps of empty houses. Not very many cities have that. Two, they're not all close together. Three, you have lots of people. Most of them are unemployed, but you still have people. So that they're ups. The downside is that they're unemployed, but the thing is they can be employable. So those are really main things. One that most cities have is that they haven't got enough people or they haven't got enough houses. You have both. So that's an ups. That's what you do have. So so moving forward, even if I did bring hydro there or hydros there, it still wouldn't be enough to sustain a whole city, if you know what I mean. It's a start, but it's not the whole answer. The answer lies within your city. In your city, amongst your people. I would literally stop going like this. Hand out. Come and fix us up. Come and fix us up. I would actually fix it from the inside out. Ask people in there how they would fix it. In the interim, you've got no food. As I would literally, which lots of cities are going, is go recycle. Recycle paper, recycle paper, recycle food. So you turn your food into soil. It's beautiful soil, and you can make good vegetables out of it. Plus you've got an ocean by you, which is another up, so that's food. So even though you might think you're in a hard situation, you've got ocean, which is food. Two, you've got lots of land. The soil might not be good, but you're eating food and you've got food scraps, which gets turned into soil, which makes good soil to grow food. So one is you need to, educate yourself on how to tie a bait, that's tie a knot, and you just put on the Detroit Lions. I mean, everyone's looking at their website now, and do how to grow gardens. And then make available, as in city community, make available soil, and do community gardens. Do community gardens so everyone can eat. The secret to having a good community is that everyone shares. And the only way that everyone shares is if you're all on the same page. I've done some research with Detroit, and I honestly believe that your problem is that you ask for help outside of your city and not everyone buys into it. And when not everyone buys into it, it doesn't work. That is what your problem is, I think, when you need to look within your city. So all I'm doing is telling you how to do a think tank. Then what you also need to know is that an asset that you have is that you've got heaps of factories. Heaps of factories. They're all car factories. And they're sitting there dormant. People in other cities don't have that. So what would you do? And so cars, you've done cars and cars and cars and cars, but it hasn't worked out for you. Yeah, they've all closed down and all sorts of things. But what you do have is you have people that can work factories. Not everyone can work factories. That is another reason why I wanted to come to Detroit to do hydro engineering and make that the mecca of America. But with my hydro engineering came us to train builders, to train electricians, to train engineers. We train the engineers when they work on our hydro system. Though it was the place where America could go to. That was my thinking about that. And the reason why, other than John wanting to live in Detroit because there's cars and I love cars, but because you had empty buildings, your ratio of unemployment was high. That means I could get workers. And 2, you had lots of houses. So those were the up things for me to bring a factory there. But I would stay away from cars. You're always with cars. But you got heaps of factories. What I would do is I would invest in food. You can't go wrong with food. Like in New Zealand, we have a thing called Watties. They do cans, and they make canned food. So I would, if I was on the council, or I think they call them senators, I don't know what the hell they call them in America, but if I was on then, I would start petitioning for people, firms that do food, to come and do food in Detroit. Once you have factories in Detroit, you're never going to go hungry because you always have seconds. Always have seconds. Like when I worked at Teagle Poultry, when I worked there, 10 chickens cost me $20. And a tray of eggs cost me $1 because I'd worked in a factory. So when you work in a factory, you get food for cheap because you work there. But what happens is your cousin down the road, he works in another factory. So all of a sudden you've got food. So you share the food in your community. I think your problem is that you were dealing in cars. Well, you can't eat cars. And although we love cars, but the big guys get the money from the cars. You only could get that from doing the factories. So that's the only thing I've got my ideas. But in the interim, before your big head fellas get onto that, is that what I'd do is I'd start as an emergency fund is start getting some fishing rods. And so at least people can go fishing and get them some fish. And then have a good bus system, because not everyone will have cars because they're a bit broken, make that free, that they pick up people to take them to the ocean to get fish. And the second thing is recycling, to get your soil to grow community gardens. Now that's going to take a year and stuff. So in the interim, you're going to have to think of other ways to come up with it. But your main answer is to share knowledge and to know that you're all in that waka boat together. And the only way you're getting out of that waka is to get out together and stop asking for help from outside the area and look within inside you. You've got lots of brains, lots of people that are there to do that. And then work on your health system so people aren't draining on the health system. And your Detroits, they do really good, aren't they? And yeah, just do that. And then you might think, well, they spend a lot of money on the Lions as in Detroit. That as a sports team builds momentum. It builds momentum. It has an uprising for a whole community. Although I sit on the fence at grand finals, I'm not going either way. But that's why people invest in sports teams, because it uplifts a community, especially if you're all hungry. So the first thing is, and here's the thing, is invest in your children. Is that really hone in and get those schools up and running. And if your schools can't up to scratch because you can't afford the schools, get people with knowledge to teach children. Do house teachers going around there and educating them. This is how you make your garden. This is how you fish. what your children will know and learn, which you might think this is pretty shit for our kids, is that they learn diversity and they learn, well, now I know how to cook, now I know how to catch a fish, and now I know how to grow a garden. I'm never going to be hungry. That's the journey I went through when I was young, because I came from a very poor province, and now it's very prosperous. And I'll never go hungry, because I know how to grow a garden, and I know how to fish. And I live by the ocean to make sure that I don't have to travel too far to get there. And then work on your system but just think and just ask those two questions in your community and and the easiest way to do that is to set up a Facebook page and ask those two questions. One, what are you happy about the city? And two, what don't you like about the city? And if there's a recurring thing that they don't like, fix it. Fix that recurring question. It might be drugs. It might be, we don't like the drugs. And so you really hone in on that. See what the people want and do it, because they're the ones that are going to drive this. Instead of going and get some big swanky billionaire that gives you a fish and then walks away and then you've got nothing. So you want to school yourself up with skills. So what you do is you get a big piece of paper, you get all the answers in, and you write it down. And at the top, you have end goal. Everyone in this community is safe, healthy, happy, and self-sufficient. Then you go through and you literally mark out, literally like a ladder, on how you're going to get there, and just tick it off, 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 tick it off. It might take you 5 years, it might take you 10 years, but make sure that the whole community, the whole city knows what their plan is, and as you tick it off, you let everyone know, hey, we ticked that off, we've got all our soil, we ticked it off, and then everyone has the wins together. Even though it sounds hard that you're hungry, and I'll tell you what, it takes a big man to stand up to say we're starving. So all I can offer you is knowledge. So all I can offer you, I'm sorry, I can help you with people to teach you how to do gardening on YouTube, and to do the recycle and stuff like that. But here's the thing, we're going to try and get some secondhand stuff to you. And so another thing happens when you are in a poor community is you learn how to fix things. So you don't become a throwaway society. So your TV's broken, so you learn how to fix it. And so these things are all great for learning for children, although it's very, very hard, but they will stand very tall when they're older to know mum and dad came from this and the community like this and they made it grow. I know I came from one, and that's Taranaki. So anyway, kia ora. This is my tutorial to Detroit. Good luck for Super Bowl. I have another team in that Super Bowl, so I won't be cheering for anyone. You can listen to what we were saying if you like, but good luck. I'm sitting on the fence for that, but good luck to the next playoffs, and see you at the Super Bowl. Kia ora.